Hello, Jordan. Good to see you.
Nice. Yeah, it's nice to see you as well, Neil.
How have you been? What have you been up to?
What a question. The same things I've always been doing. What have I been doing recently? Writing. All I ever do is write and then listen to podcasts and TED Talks.
You say it like it's a bad thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, look.
That's a great life.
Yes, if you are a 50-year-old woman, that's fine. But like at this age, you should be having some human contact. But the only time I ever talk to other people is through a microphone.
Right.
I am right now.
But this counts as human contact, surely.
I know, but like, come on.
If you just touch... There we go. There's some human contact.
Fact, yeah, technically, man.
You've got pets, don't you have a dog?
Not with me. It's my girlfriend's.
I mean,
sometimes I hang out with it.
Yeah.
I know its name.
Okay.
That's the start. What have you been hanging? Dude, you just did a rap video. Bringing LA to Sydney.
I was a 5-second cameo in a rap video.
Yeah.
For a Triple J rapper. Well, I wouldn't call him a Triple J rapper. He's a rapper that's been featured on Triple J.
Solid.
Yeah.
And you showed me a little bit of him before, actually. Maybe we should give him a shout out because actually,
for sure.
he
He's
spits
great.
hard, and the dislike ratio was not earned. That's what we were just talking about. As soon as you're on someone else's platform, because you're just usually used to just 99% likes, the whole world likes me, but it's just a very specific, tiny niche of people that do. But as soon as you're on something that's a national brand, and then you put your name on there, instantly, a quarter of the people, shittest human being on earth, should be lynched.
I feel like you're doing something right, though, if you have anywhere between a 75% to a 90% like ratio, and anything higher than that, it means it's just the same.
It's McDonald's.
It's basic.
Yep.
Anything lower than that, that's bad.
Yeah, you're right, because it's just that lazy, I don't have to think about it, I liked it before, it's kind of like that, done.
Exactly.
You're right.
But yeah, his name is Yibby. He's a great rapper. Check him out. But this is, for this particular podcast, we've decided to go with a theme, haven't we?
Yeah.
So we've decided to look into evolution.
Yeah, which your text was 99% of the content on evolution is trying to convince people who don't believe in evolution that it's true.
I was so disheartened by that. Every single lecture, this book I'm reading, it's just trying to convince people that it's actually a real theory.
I don't know how that...
There's nothing actually interesting said about it.
All right, so over and over again.
I'm still not convinced, by the way. I think God definitely did it all.
Yeah, I mean, amazing if that's your take home. What is the argument? Who's arguing this still?
YouTube commenters. If you look at some of the evolution lectures on YouTube, they have a very bad dislike ratio. A lot of them are dislikes, and a lot of the comments are from religious zealots.
This kind of just goes with the territory. As soon as you put up any idea at all, half of the people that click on it are just going to be people that are there to hate you.
I feel like especially something like evolution, I think there's people just genuinely trawling YouTube just to find evolution videos. To say, well, how do you know where's the evidence? You guys talk about evidence. Where's the evidence for it?
Any of the comments in there, you think, oh, snap, what are you going to say to that, scientist? Or
exactly, yes.
Or every single one of them, you just think, is always just the same arguments of,
like
how come we're not evolving now? Think about it.
They're like a sassy white girl. What do you have to say to that? Yeah, where's your science now? Snap.
So pretty much every comment that you saw as an impartial observer, someone who was on the fence, let us say, about if God did it or monkeys did.
Sure, yeah. No, I'm on the fence.
Impartial.
I don't know. Yeah, it could have been God.
Did you see? Okay, so
Didn't Ben Carson say that? Like, if you look at the human eye, surely that was created.
Was that him?
I'm pretty sure that was him, yeah.
Well, I need to know more about that because I've only ever heard... This is the intelligence design theory. Intelligent design, how ironic to screw up the word intelligent. But yes.
Clearly, a clear example that we evolved from monkeys. Right there.
And also, you know what else I noted? This sealed the deal for me. It's kind of like when I used to believe in the moon landing. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say, how naive I was. Never happened.
So just really quickly, before we get sidetracked on that, do you think it happened, but the footage is fake, or do you think it didn't happen at all?
No, I think it definitely happened. There was a long period of my life where I saw one Channel 10 documentary and thought, oh, case closed. No counter arguments, not needed.
If Channel 10 says it, they're the authority there.
It was so weird. Do you remember that
Especially when
period?
we were young, because
Yeah.
they were the channel for young people.
Yeah, they were.
They had the OC, they had...
The
Cheese
Simpsons,
TV.
Neighbours.
Yeah, how could you argue with that?
They knew programming.
And what have they got now? The Project.
Yeah, is that it? They tried to bring back Sports Tonight. And
I'm just trying to... Oh, The Bachelor and The Bachelorette.
The real mistake is they haven't brought hot dogs up late.
Another example, like, clearly we're not evolving. Love Island, I mean... we are monkeys.
It is, because if you see the dynamics of The Bachelor, what is it? 15 chicks fighting over one guy. That is as evolutionary as it gets.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a real case study in just Darwinian sexual desire.
and purely just because people said that guy's valuable, but then you look at it, what is he? I work on an oil rig, sometimes I blew my arm off.
It's a good point. If you just put a guy into some sort of position of value, girls go for that.
Well, that's part of it. This is the points that I know about evolution. I don't actually... If a reverend came up to me and said, where's the missing link? I'd be like, okay, well, the first question I have for you is, what's the missing link? I'd have to get them to explain it to me. The only things I know about it is from sex books, which just shows you where my mind is.
Probably 90% of what I know is from sex books as well. And the last 10% is just from the research I did in the last week.
Oh, really?
Which were not sex books.
All right, so
not human sex.
All right, we'll get to that. That's the sizzle for later. But the 10% that you learned, what happened?
Well, I read this one book called The Evolution of Beauty, and it
sounds pretty sex to me. But all right.
Yeah, like I said, not sex with animals. Although there was a chapter about human sex. So again, 10% ratio right there. And it just pushed the theory of sexual selection more than natural selection. So it said that many traits that certain animals evolve are not actually adapted for some sort of evolutionary advantage. They're just pretty. Like with birds, certain plumage and feathers and things like that. That just the female birds are like, yeah, that's cute.
That's it.
Yeah, because there's instances of certain male birds having to do such elaborate mating dances, and like the male peacock, the feathers are so, it would just be a disadvantage for predators.
Yeah.
But because the females have constantly gone for males with the prettiest feathers, they've just evolved that giant tail feather.
Well, how do they even survive now? They don't, do they? The only reason that they exist now is because what's that big palace in India called?
The Taj Mahal?
Yeah, the Taj Mahal. They just need pretty shit around it. Are they just a really attractive chicken?
So the only reason peacocks survive today is because Indians can put them around the Taj Mahal. Like, yeah, look at that. That's very beautiful, isn't it? Well, it worked.
Well, what other reason do they have?
They evolved.
Really
maybe
weird.
that's why they evolved the feathers.
It's the same as God, I can't even remember the crop now. Let's just say it's wheat, even though it's probably not. The only reason it exists. No, corn.
Because of human, artificial selection, right? They caused it to exist. That's crazy.
Otherwise, it would have been bred out. Apparently, you need... It was essentially humans invented in vitro fertilization in the year 3. And then they just figured out that they could apply to human beings. But it needs to be pollinated by a person. Or ostensibly a very intelligent baboon, but something with hands has to do it.
So a bachelor contestant.
Yeah, they're out of the question. They can't do it. But yeah, really smart people, as in someone slightly smarter than someone from The Bachelor, i.e. illiterate peasants from the 1st century AD.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I think that's it.
Corn is not naturally occurring.
You know what? You made me really nervous just with one question, and all of my knowledge has just fallen like a deck of cards, but it's some crop, and I assume it's corn.
Okay. We'll go with corn.
Maybe it's corn or wheat, but it's one of these major crops that virtually all food is made from it. It's definitely not rice, so that excludes that. But it's made it one of the most successful plants of all time.
Wow.
Even though it is
Just riding the coattails
basically disabled.
of farmers. Riding the coattails of farmers.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do.
Well, I don't know why. How else could a peacock survive in the wild then? Because
It's a good point.
it boggles. You're right. It's stupid.
And all those
it's
birds
an
as well.
advertisement of eating, and they look tasty.
Yeah. Yeah, the book didn't actually go that far into it. It just posed the theory that particularly the species where the female of the species has more freedom in their sexual choice, essentially, that's when the males of the species develop more. Well, there's generally mating dances and mating rituals and bright colors and things of that nature. Whereas if you look at species like, I don't know, silverback gorilla, for example, where there's just one alpha male who just beats the crap out of every other gorilla. The dream, am I right?
What's changed, bro?
Exactly. But yeah, they don't, they're just big, black, and hairy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they do have the silver line on their back, but
Do they?
nothing compared to birds.
Yeah, that's kind of shit, isn't it? It's nowhere near as impressive as that. I mean, that looks like something that you would see in a sci-fi film when you go to one of those sex planets. Definitely peacocks are going to be there.
Yeah.
This is getting
Something
pretty
out of a
weird.
Rick
I
and
am
Morty
advocating
episode.
bestiality at this point. But damn, if you were going to have sex with an animal, like peacock would be right up there, surely. There's a way uglier
They're pretty.
animals. Like blobfish down here, peacocks up there.
Blobfish.
You know what that is.
No, I don't know. What's a blobfish?
Look, I know that
Sounds like one of those really bad Pokemon.
and
like
it is
Magikarp.
probably. Yeah, it's pretty. It's okay.
Blobfish
it's uglier
uses
than
splash.
Magikarp. That would be its defense, surely.
Okay.
It's one of those fish that lives in the twilight sphere of the ocean, and I don't actually know what it looks like. But as soon as it gets a little bit further than say 1,000 feet,
Is
under
it the one
deep,
with the antenna and the almost like a light at the front of it?
No, I can't even remember what that's called. But I think it lives in that realm. It's probably the food for that. Doesn't look tasty at all. It looks like, those dishes that you get in really pricey
Right.
Chinese places that's illegal? It's probably a blobfish.
So it's the incel of the animal world. It's just
without
been
question.
relegated to the to the depths of the basement of Earth.
Where it belongs.
Exactly.
It's hideous. But I don't. That's my main point of that is that peacocks are hot.
I like that you have a list of the most fuckable animals.
I have thought about these situations, which is sad, but yeah. I think it's just because I watched too much of Worst Case Scenario again on Channel 10. You're right. It's just, if you were born in our generation, that's your YouTube. Like the times when Rove Live was edgy.
Yeah, right. I don't. What was? Well, I can assume what the show's about, but what did they do on the show?
On Rove Live?
No, on Worst Case Scenario.
Oh, it was just all about if your car is ever dangling off a cliff.
Right. Okay.
For the love of God, don't press drive. Which apparently that's what you're supposed to do. All you're supposed to do in that situation is kick the window down and jump out, just for your information. But it had all of those situations that were just nigh on impossible for you to be in. I don't know why it was attractive television, but it was. You know why? Because it was better than Danos Direct. That was what it was competing with.
Well, there you go.
That's something else about evolution.
I wanna look at
the
replay.
brutality of views.
The evolution of Australian commercial TV. That's the most interesting evolution out there.
I 100% agree.
Now, before I go on to what your thoughts are on evolution, I just want to mention one other chapter in this book.
I'll go for it.
That was actually quite confronting. So, do you know much about duck sex?
I think
What a question.
maybe, but go on. But
So duck sex is actually quite brutal, and a lot of the female ducks will die during duck sex.
No.
And so the females try to go for the, like with any species, humans included, they go for the, the handsome male ducks that they like. But there's a lot of these other straggler ducks that basically just try and rape them or gang rape them. And
They're naughty.
Yes, yeah, just like a music festival. And and so there's been this evolutionary arms race between male and female ducks, where the male duck penises kept growing. Just these, they grew these elaborate penises that curl around, and the female, they're tracked. I don't know what the exact part, the vagina, I guess, but whatever the pipe is. Wow, so
Oh, the
uninformed.
cloaca?
Maybe I don't.
I think they have an anus
clearly
and a
know
vagina.
nothing about the female anatomy.
And it's getting really creepy that I do, and it was also just like, peacocks are pretty hot.
Yeah.
But I think they do. I think it's a cloaca.
Yeah, those two facts together, that really makes it
In
creepy.
very quick succession.
But yeah, the female, the tract, let's just call it that, has also evolved along with it to be more and more convoluted and complicated, so that these male ducks, if they try to rape them, they often can't. It's like a keyhole, so the key can't actually fit and fertilize the female eggs. Yeah.
So they have a maze of a vagina.
Yep.
You know what?
Just little
they
old
always
ducks.
say it, but truth is stranger than fiction. Would never guess that in a million years. Okay, so they have an inbuilt chastity belt.
Yeah, they've just
Wow.
developed a rape prevention muscle organ, essentially.
That's so... I don't understand.
insane.
See, like, when you hear how an animal evolved to get to a certain spot, it doesn't make sense, the pathway to get there. I mean, how did one duck survive to have a slightly... Oh, actually, no. Now I'm just
So there would have been a
explaining it completely.
mutation.
Because every other duck died. Oh,
And
Jesus,
then that
it's
duck
brutal.
with the mutation, with the first mutated penis, would have been able to, rape a lot of the female ducks until one of those female ducks mutated and had a
An
slightly
even more
more...
impenetrable
So
vag.
that would have just kept... Yes. Yeah, that's the correct terminology. The impenetrable gash. That's like the very frigid girl in high school. The impenetrable gash.
Yeah, honestly,
Wow.
I do like thinking about evolution for specifically that reason, and it does make you think that...
For impenetrable gashes.
for specifically that, absolutely. You're right.
On peacocks.
Well, any attractive bird, I'm down with that, definitely.
Okay.
So, you know, if you're talking about bowerbirds, go for it. Pigeons, nah, not interested. I've got better standards than that.
They talked about bowerbirds a lot in this book as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, some of the nests that the male bowerbirds have
Blue
to make
ones.
are just unbelievable.
Well, most of the ones that I've ever seen just have a bunch of Paul's milk bottle caps in them. And you just think, there's got to be other things that are blue. Oh, one of those little pipes that kindergarteners use to make little stick figures. Yep, very creative. But every single bowerbird nest I've ever seen, I always just thought, is a homeless person living here? Like, it doesn't look impressive. Have you seen ones that...
I don't think I've seen it. Well, I wouldn't. Maybe I just mistook it for a former homeless,
Maybe, yeah.
not shelter, like location.
It is hard to say, because it just looks like trash. I suppose the big decipher is that they're very colour specific. But look, I'm sure bowerbirds are interesting in their own way. I think the ugly thing is, though, that it's just like, when are we going to talk about the Shanks?
Yeah.
But I suppose...
That's what I was waiting for. I was just trying to speed through that just to get to the sex.
This is all this podcast is going to be, isn't it?
I could imagine, yeah. 80% of it, just the puss.
The never-ending search for new angles on puss. Yeah, well, I don't know. Look, honestly, I'll be brutally honest here. I didn't do an ounce of research, but...
You know enough anyway. I still remember something you told me that was
Well, go on, pop
just
quiz.
confronting.
Ooh, I think I don't...
Well, it was from Sex at Dawn. And just that the natural state of female sexuality is that when... It's something like when they're ovulating, basically all the alpha males in that tribe would just pump their seed into her.
They'd have a gangbang.
And then it's sperm competition. So it's not actually competition between the males. It's competition between the sperm. Yeah, so just
Full marks, Neil.
love the gangbangs. Could never look at a woman the same.
It is kind of scary, and then you realise that the male psyche is geared towards it very evident in porn because the vast majority of gangbangs, 95%, are heaps of guys, one chick. There's very few reverse gangbangs. That's what it's called, a reverse gangbang. It's just implied that it's heaps of guys pumping one chick. That's what guys like to look at because that's what they've been evolved to do. And it's also reflective in how long it takes a woman to orgasm, which is about 10 times as long as a man, implying that there's supposed to be 10 men pumping one chick at a time.
So the rugby league players,
They had it right.
they know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a very dicey thing to say, but
Truly
as long as
the
everything's consensual, yes, it's getting
Yes, of
closer to
course.
what it
That's-
is.
that's-
But
that
then
was
again, in the
implied.
rugby, how many players are there on a rugby team? 12? Maybe a bit too much.
17.
17.
18 if you count the coach.
And let's be honest, we are. So maybe double the amount of
yeah.
that. Let's wind that one back a bit. Maybe just a standard European handball team plus their subs. And so that's the way that you're evolved to have sex, which explains why there's so many magazines now of women just being like, how to get your man to satisfy you better. And basically the answer every time is get a vibrator. Because
Yeah.
you can make
There's
that
no
9
hope.
men. No hope.
We have no hope as a single man.
I mean, I've gotten a vibrator once for my special lady. Probably shouldn't admit that, but well, it's done now.
So you failed as a man. Yeah, your little PB can't cut it, Jordan.
Yeah, that was my thought. I was just like, look, I read that chapter and I just went, there's no hope. No, not even with Viagra. There's nothing you could. Have you ever had Viagra?
I have, yes.
Fuck yeah, that's my boy, Neil.
Yeah. Good
on you,
Have
man.
you?
No.
Okay.
But like, you got to tell me more now that the question's out there. Come
Oh,
on.
I just kind of wanted to try it. I needed
and
it.
what did you report about?
Oh, I use it if I'm having a one night stand and I've had like a lot of drinks. Then I'll
Such a good
I'll
move.
just I'll like preemptively take a.
Damn. You've got this. You've handled this, man. You've thought about this in
I can't believe I'm admitting to this.
No, you should. There's no shame in that. Nobody can admit they're just like, oh, what a wuss. I was blind, drunk, passed out, woke up with a boner. It doesn't happen.
Exactly.
I think that's it's very brave of you, Neil.
Thank you.
And I don't know because I've never had it before, but I just honestly, I just can't see. Once you buy an iVibe and it has 13 different settings, and one of them is intimidatingly powerful, you just think, what is this, a welder? Like, it just goes into, you know that supersonic shift when something's going too fast and it goes from like to like just that sound?
Right. No.
There's no, you can't even hear
What'd you say?
the
It's an
whirring.
iVibe. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, look.
Is it one of those ones with different? It's not just the.
Oh, it's got a little
penis
clit
shape, it's got
stimulator
the-
on it as well.
Yeah. Okay.
But that doesn't go that far. I think they figured out that that'd just be like way too pleasurable. And so...
Can't have females having too much pleasure.
Can't have that.
No.
Oh,
Nothing
that was
left
also
for
in that
us.
book. Do you remember this that they were talking about? The third electronic invention, I think, was the vibrator.
Was that in Sex at Dawn?
Yeah. Because I was just...
I don't remember that, but it makes sense.
It does? I thought there'd be so many other things that would be so much more necessary when electricity was just invented. Like, I
But
don't know.
it's always this like sexual technology that pushes the technology. Like it's always like porn is now what 90% of the internet.
Probably.
So that's what's pushing the economics of the internet. So
I
if
mean,
Elon Musk really
well
wants to, get to Mars, he just needs to create a sex colony there, and there'll be just enough money poured into it.
What
It
advertised
is surprising because it was like 19th century England, which was that where or was it invented in America? Either way,
Probably England.
both like extremely puritanical societies.
Yeah. So it does make a lot of sense because it was just repressed anyway. But
True.
on top of that, it's just another piece in the puzzle that men actually aren't designed to satisfy women. 10 of
Wow,
them
that's-
are.
That's crazy.
It's full. I remember
That's,
reading that and then just going through this kind of nothing
Wow.
void for a few days.
So if you really want to satisfy your girl, you just got to get 9 of your mates and
Yeah, yeah, that's what you and have a party.
give them a go.
I mean,
so like really rough bogans are actually the most feminist men out there.
yeah.
They're just like, I just want to satisfy my girl. That's why I'm letting the whole team have a turn. Oh, fuck.
That's pretty bad. Like, it's these books. When you read a very good evolutionary book, you go away being scared, and I think that's why I'm attracted to the genre. The books that I like to read the most are the ones that completely shift the way you think about the world.
Yeah, 100%. And that was a recommendation from you to read that one, and that one, it did the exact same for me.
Did you read it?
Yeah, I read it. Yeah, it was.
Because after that, you just
It
go
was
through.
shocking.
Yeah,
It was just, well,
you go through the rest of life thinking that everything was made for sex. The Big Ben. I mean, yeah, every feminist is going to. That's
of all the things you could have mentioned.
How lazy is that
Big
as well?
Ben.
Just looking at that one.
What are you trying to say? It's symbolic of a phallic
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that
figure, or it's just a man trying to prove his status and worth by creating a giant monument.
which is crazy that sex drive forces men in their own minds to build that. That's how they think they're going to land a wife. That's so extreme. Dude, go to a bar. It's weird to think.
So you think it's all? Well, yeah, I could see that it's all sex, but what if some component is power, or is that just interconnected with sex anyway?
It's just another means of getting to power, because the other thing that you learn from evolutionary books is that there's two types of men that are attractive to women, which is why you see, you've probably got friends like this, right? That are just, it was the guys we were talking about before, stoner surfies that are homeless. I know guys that live in a van.
Yeah.
But they slay hard. So there's the version of man that is the traveller in groups, and the reason that women are attracted to them, and it's the same reason that when you go to England, you just open up your mouth and go, kangaroo, and they'll go, yay, and just jump on you. It's because...
Didn't work for me.
Didn't it?
I just yelled out kangaroo in the middle of England. You don't
Maybe
look
you need
like
a
you're
bit
from
more
there.
of a pickup line.
You look a bit more like curry or something like that, mate. Don't be lying to us. I don't know.
So, so you being a foreign man in England didn't work.
Oh, well, I was in England for 2 months. I didn't get laid.
Damn.
Did not get laid. I was younger. I was 21, so don't
New
know
to
if that.
the world.
Yeah,
Still a boy.
I was. Yeah, I think if I go there now, I'd do all right. But
I think that's another thing as well. You kind of just have to have experience and knowledge in the world, which is another reason that women are attracted to those kind of alpha male in terms of evolutionary theory, is because they want someone who's able to navigate through the world with ease, because otherwise that person's probably going to get killed and then nobody's there to raise a baby. It makes a lot of sense when you think about it from those contexts. But the other reason that they're attracted to travelers, which didn't make sense until you thought about it from this angle, was that travelers are able to diversify the gene pool, because back in the day, as in when there was 70 human beings left on Earth, because there was a massive drought in the south and a huge ice age in the north, God, gene diversity came this close from breeding us into just being the blobfish.
really,
We just would have been so inbred.
we're all. It's not that long ago when we have the one common ancestor. Apparently,
Yeah.
I don't know how long exactly, but it's not that long.
No, well, how can it
We're
be
all
that
distant
long?
cousins, basically.
No, it's that same thing that always annoys me when people just go, I'm related to William Wallace. And it's like, yeah, you and 600,000 other people on Earth. The gene pool just narrowed in to a point, actually, where they think that if there was just a few more human beings that were dead, that would be the end of the species. It got
Wow.
very close.
Wow,
Because
brought it back from the brink.
And it was those...
Because
it
of
was
one-
surfy
because of
bums.
one surfy,
A current affairs
one
wrong.
traveler, one sex addict traveler.
They say... I
Just
can't
went to
believe
the
the
two
current
tribes,
affairs... yeah, it says...
banged the girls, and kept the human race alive. Thank you to whoever that guy was.
I mean, now we've probably got too many, but still, it's nice to have that gene kicking on, just in case that happens again. Have it as an ace in the hole.
That's a good point.
They saved
Wow.
everyone, and now people are pissed off that they collect the doll, as if that isn't just reparations for the rest of what they did for everyone. You're welcome. It's
Never thought about it like that.
It's undeniably true.
Yeah,
Surely they deserve.
Yeah.
What is it?
They're getting the doll, and
$150 a
they're
week?
still getting the girls these days. So they're killing it.
Take them. But usually they end up having sex with women who are also travelers, because also women moved around the tribes as well. And that's why you see that there's two very distinct patterns when it comes to mating now, and that's why human beings are in that weird crossover of being half monogamous and half player, is because that's why we survived, is because half of them just stayed within a tribe, which meant that they were strong enough to fight off cheaters when that was a problem. And then when environmental conditions got too bad, then travelers were more useful. But the thing is that human beings were adaptive enough to work in environments that where the odds were against them, I guess.
So do you think certain males are intrinsically monogamous and certain males are players, or do you think all men?
Yeah, I reckon I'm pretty monogamous.
Really?
Well, I've been in a relationship for 7 years. I mean, look, I'd love to tap some ass, but I don't have
Yeah.
something
So
in the
but
back.
then that is it. That is the thing at the back of your mind.
It's
if you want
there.
to tap some ass, that's it. That's that traveler gene kicking in, telling you to spread your seed.
Mate, look, I'm not going to deny it, but like the overriding gene is just like just get married and have 2 kids. That's it. No more. Don't be greedy.
Do you
But I
think that's a gene, or do you think that's culturally ingrained?
No, that's definitely a gene, because there's other people in my family who get laid. So it makes sense to me. What do you reckon you are? Do you reckon you're more of a traveler, or do you think you're one of those long-term investors?
I don't like to admit it, but probably more of a traveler. Let's be honest. There's a reason there's 1 billion Indians on the planet.
And you know what else?
I haven't had a relationship more than about 9 months, so
Yeah?
yeah.
Well, that highly suggests towards that.
Yeah.
And it also probably means that you're attracting women that are more into the You know what it is? It's just, you can tell by the length of a man's hair. If
Yeah,
you've
but I
got
haven't always
longish
had...
hair.
Yeah, but actually that's true, because now that I have long hair, I'm just like, I feel at peace.
Yeah. It definitely suits you as well.
This is me. Wow, so I should really be a surfy out in Byron Bay, just kicking it.
I mean, yes, or smoke more weed than you currently are, which we covered in the last podcast. But I think you should just increase the dosage of that,
Sure.
and you'd be more at peace. And for God's sakes, replace that picture of the River Thames with a yin and yang symbol. But after that, this place is... Look at this place.
Telling
You
me how
have
to
created a
interior
bachelor
decorate.
pad.
Thank you.
It does make a lot of... You probably are more of the traveller dude.
Now that I think about it, yeah. This is the prime location
It is.
to travel. In the one location.
And you know what else as well? I don't know about this too much, but from what I've observed from an outsider's view, I feel like you have bursts of ideas and you get bored of those ideas pretty quickly. So you kind of have like that shotgun thing of just shooting a bunch of things. And so some of those ideas work and some of those ideas don't work, which is actually just like it's a cornerstone of success anyway. But I also think that people that are, into travel, because you seem to have more of that inclination in you than I do. Like every time I speak to you, you always have different projects boiling. But you talk to me and you're always like,
true.
what are you doing? And it's just like, the same fucking thing I've been doing for the last 6 years. That's it. Nothing else. It's the
Right.
same. I am a monogamous little mole rat. And you are...
You don't have to be a mole rat. I mean, you can be a monogamous lion or something.
I
But
suppose.
sure, we'll go with mole rat.
I mean, look at my posture. I think maybe all of these things you can kind of tell if somebody's, it's pretty obvious really who's got that mating strategy and who doesn't. But it's I don't know. And the other thing that's really interesting about these books is I like thinking about people as animals.
Yeah, that's what really...
You like that.
I love that, yeah. That's really intriguing.
Yeah.
Because we're brought up to think that we're essentially better than that, and we've somehow overcome those biological instincts, but we just definitely have not.
No.
And they just manifest in very different ways.
I think so. And actually, it's a toss-up. I also knew this other dude, and again, he was into travel a lot. But
I don't know, I'm not actually into physical traveling that much.
No?
Not really, no. Because, well, the thing is, I travel so much just for comedy, and then I'm just... A holiday for me is just staying in the one place for a month.
Well, I get that. That is kind of the same with me as well.
Yeah,
the life and struggles of having a really fun life.
I know, right? Look at us complaining.
This is our job,
travel
having
so
a
much.
chat.
Do an hour of work.
I know. What a madhouse. I need a month to relax. I've actually said that to my booking manager of just being like, just take the month of October off. I can't do this anymore. This 2 gigs a month.
Yeah, well. Another book I read was about... this just fits into me being like obsessed with getting puss. It's a book about the female hormones and just how the female hormone cycle will affect their behavior dramatically, which everyone knows, but the sorts of things that it'll affect. So, for example, when they're ovulating, which is when they can get pregnant, they're that much more attracted to very masculine traits. So, yeah, they're even more attracted to like the bad boy. They'll see just like some massive, scary looking dude on the street and just be attracted to that because it's their...
Why?
It's just their body telling them to find the most physically optimal sperm, I guess.
Why do they want that when they're preggers?
No, not when they're pregnant. When
ovulating, sorry.
Yeah, so when they're
I did PD.
when they have the ability to get preggers.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes heaps of sense, actually.
Yeah, and a girl, when she's ovulating, will generally wear more revealing clothing. She'll come across as more attractive to people. So they showed photos of girls who were ovulating, who weren't ovulating. They all, all the evidence said that the girls who were ovulating were more attractive. They're more their appetite is less, and they want to go out more. They want to travel. And now that makes sense, doesn't it?
You know what? Okay, ovulating is just a nice way of saying being on heat.
Yeah, literally.
Because guys, they don't have heat. Well, their whole life is being on heat.
Pretty much. I think there is like some kind of testosterone cycle, but...
Is it?
Well, that's what the book said, but it just said there's also a testosterone cycle for men, but then it wouldn't go into any detail about it. So
sounds pretty dodgy to me, actually. It just sounds like they just said
they're
that.
just saying that to say, yeah, it's just the same. This was a crazy thing in that book. It said women who are ovulating were more likely to vote for Barack Obama than Mitt Romney.
That well, I can imagine that as well because look, Obama.
He's black.
Yeah, true, but also, come on. Yes, okay.
He's a very sexy man. I mean, Mitt Romney is not. He's a handsome man.
He's a handsome man.
But Obama's
different.
Obama's pretty sexy.
And there's definitely a different. Yeah, there's a vibe of sexuality that some people got and some people ain't. And me with my Kmart $12 jumper ain't got it. But
I mean, look, you're a male model, so
yeah. But is that hot? That's a joke.
Isn't that the epitome of hot?
This is, I think, one of the most hilarious concepts on earth is like the idea of a beautiful man. So it's essentially that you are
you're pretty.
Attractive in a female sense, yes.
Oh, okay, I see.
But also when it comes to
that's what you
women,
want if you're attractive. Oh, you're not attractive to females, you're attractive in a female way, in a feminine way. Is that what?
In an artistic way, you're attractive. That's,
okay. Right. That's something.
Something, I guess. But I think it's something, like even someone like Jay-Z, one of the ugliest human beings I've ever seen in my life, but he has a more sexual vibe to him.
That's true. Yeah, a lot of it comes down to the sexuality you exude, I think.
Yeah, and I think look, there's probably things that you can do to kind of make it and a little more that way or a little more that way, but I do think it is just like some people are better runners. I think some people just are more sexy than other people.
Yeah.
Some people exude a sex vibe.
You can work on it, but there's definitely there's some natural travelers out there.
Don't you reckon? And
For
as
sure.
comedians, don't you reckon? Like, we're actually quite low on that totem.
Yeah.
In terms of, especially in terms of showbiz,
Compared
we'd
to
be really
musicians.
down. Musicians are
Without
definitely
it. There's
the
a
top.
few, there's the Russell Brands out there, but
True.
he's
Such a rare breed, though.
exactly.
If you go, it'd just be probably musicians at the top. And I think it's a lot of the attitude is just I think that a big reason that musicians are attractive.
Because because thinking about that from an evolutionary standpoint, at someone out in, pre-agricultural times who could be artistic and sing was not the sort of person that could necessarily protect your offspring and, have optimal genes for you to carry on. So why is it that women are so attracted to someone like, I don't know, like Justin Bieber, for example? He's tiny, but any girl would throw themselves at him.
True.
Well, certain like teenage girls would throw themselves at him. But do you think that's just a product of the status he has?
There's definitely the element of status, but I also think, and also that he's displaying a skill or whatever. But again, I suppose actually the reason why comedians are so low on it is also because a lot of their shtick or the reason they're paid is to make fun of themselves and talk about how shit they are.
Yeah.
That's not hot.
And that's the least attractive thing, positively.
But most pop stars and rappers are always talking about how mad their life is and how much extra money they have. And they're serenading. Their whole job is to just serenade women. If they're a man, at least. A lot of pretty much every R&B song is just like, "Shawty, let's go back to my crib. That's got a lot of cognac and all these expensive jewels inside it." It's all
But I reckon the girls actually go more for the rockers or the hip hop guy. That's just, I got all these bitches at my crib. Whereas the R&B guy who's like, "You're beautiful and I want to take you back to
it's a bit
cuddle
creepy.
You." Yeah, they'll be attracted to that initially. But who knows? I don't actually talk to many.
Well, it's got a more romantic vibe to it,
Groupies.
whereas rock and rap has a more exciting, and that's the other thing about it as well. Usually travelers have a very exciting vibe to them, whereas the leader of men have a more respect accumulating vibe. They're the ones that are usually more into power, whereas the travelers are just cut the middleman straight out, straight to sex.
Yeah.
That's why there's heaps of backpackers that are addicted to backpacking as well, because they've realised that
Makes
you can
sense.
be homeless and
Oh,
still
yeah.
pass on your genes much more successfully than an accountant can, or somebody that has their life
That's a good
together.
point. Yeah, well. Yeah, because the low tier accountant is going for that responsible leadership male role, but they're right at the bottom there. Whereas the backpacker doesn't need. It's not about status with the traveler. It's just about being there in the moment at that particular time.
And being fun, sweeping them up in excitement. Usually these people have got a very... Because their life is kind of exciting. I mean, I was touching on this in the last podcast. I am very jealous of people that kind of have nothing because their life is pretty... It's an art installment in itself. They have heaps of adventures. They always have good stories to tell you. Because they do so much in a week that's varied.
Yeah,
They're
but
closer to being a human being than you or I.
really,
At its
like
animal
what?
sense.
So what are you? So you're just jealous of the fact that they have those stories, or
Yeah. Aren't you? Do you feel that you live
don't you
like
think
a
there's
life...
there's a middle ground in there where you don't necessarily have to be homeless and you can still have some story. Maybe take.
I mean, it's theoretical.
If we work for ourselves, like we can take that 2 months off and just go and create some stories.
Yeah, I guess. But would you? That's the other thing
You
as
went
well. I
to
don't think I
Lithgow for
could.
a year.
But what happened?
What stories
I
did you
stayed inside a room. Like I did. I might as well have not have been there.
But you could have
I
Gone
watched
out
more
and
Teen Boss.
made
maybe?
some stories.
I could have. But it's not really in my personality. My personality
Right,
is to
so
be the mole rat.
Okay.
I'd be very good in a post-apocalyptic nuclear environment. I reckon I'd be ace at that. I'd never have to leave. And I'd have this sick journal for people 10,000 years in the future to uncover. Of me just being like, day 35, all there's left is cockroaches. I'm so sick of eating cockroaches. I'd be very good at that.
Right.
But in that Hunger Games scenario, you know how they're just talking about how remember how it's just the kids that ran straight to the weapons, they were the first ones to be picked off.
I read the book, but I never saw the film.
What a rare breed you are.
I actually like in terms of teen fiction, I like the Hunger Games books. I did not like Harry Potter, didn't like Twilight, all the other ones never really got into, but love me some Katniss. Katniss Everdeen.
It was a fun story arc. Well, actually, I don't know if you read the other two books. It was just the first book was kind of cool.
Yeah, they definitely declined in quality, I would say.
Right. It just reminds me of my dad. Just being like, I read this book, The Hunger Games, the other day. It's like it was written for children. That was his review of it. How did he not know that?
Basically.
Fucking idiot. But yeah, look.
Any other, interesting evolutionary ideas that you have?
Let me just
before we wrap up.
Ooh, okay. Well, what else have I got? Tapped out.
Why do you think? Because the clitoris. Of course, we've got to sex. Got to finish on this.
Yeah.
Clitoris is purely just for pleasure. There's no other use for that part of the human anatomy. Why did we evolve? Why did women evolve that? Do you think because then they would create bonds with people in the surely that, I think they mentioned that in the book as well, but that is not proof, but very clear-cut evidence that we don't just mate for procreation. There must be
That's right. It was societal glue.
Yeah.
Which is another reason.
The monkeys are out there eating each other's ticks, and we're just there.
Yeah, going at the busy. Clip. Getting straight in that meat sandwich. Yeah, I think that's why there was a lot of tribes that were talking about that have made a ritualistic thing out of gangbangs. And it's, again, because it kind of acts as this social cohesion if you can get past the rage that is induced. I think there's just a point where if it's just a lot of people having an orgy together, hippies were right.
Yeah.
Brings in the love.
Sure, but then the society we've built currently, surely that couldn't survive if everyone was just having orgies all day.
I don't know.
That's why
what do you reckon?
Is it like that?
Germany's
theorized
going
as why, like, part of the reason Rome collapsed, because they just gave into, you know, a lot more about Rome than I do, but they were out having, that was part of it.
Idea of why this 1,000-year-old empire just collapsed.
Because they just started having orgies, right? That's part of it.
I mean, you know what?
That was part
of the long and the short of it, yeah, you could say
the hedonism, right. And a big part of that hedonism and decadence were the orgies.
Yeah, sure.
It wasn't just the orgies. I'm not trying to say that.
I am trying to finish the podcast. You've asked me like a question I could go over. But like, yes, fine, orgies. That's the reason.
There you go.
Well, that was fun. I think we all learned something. Thank you very much for your contributions, Neil, about Rome's history. Very appreciated.